very much for being here. I'm going to be pretty brief with this introduction. Thank you very much to Dr. Garrett for giving me this time. Feel free to come up and get snacks throughout the presentation if you want to. Just be respectful and quiet and all. This is technically a rush event, so if you're here and you're interested in joining PMA, come up to me after. I will happily give you some more information. If you're here for an artifact, go talk to my friend Jackson Kistler. He will write down your name and a good email to contact you with, and he will go ahead and send, we will send you an email that is basically just saying, hey, you attended this event, thank you for coming, this is roughly what happened. And without further ado, I'm just going to hand the reins to you.
All right. Well, good afternoon, y'all. I really want some chips, but I just don't need to have any. I've already had 4 oranges today, so I think I can hold off on that. And do you not see my snaps? I post about oranges all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love oranges. So, what are we talking about today? This is about finding repertoire. Now, for those that don't know, I'm a choir director. I like voice. So, it's no problem being on record that I have a bias toward the voice. But that's just because that's what I do. It's not to say that other music is not good, should not be performed, and that kind of stuff. But, I don't know, I can't do everything, because I'm human. However, for anybody who has been in, let's say, NUED 374, I think that's the number it is, advanced conducting, then you are quite familiar with transfer. You're very familiar with it. I find some people are doing transfers even outside of the class, which is wonderful. I love it, love it, love it. It just makes my day. Gosh, who sent me did you send me a snap? There was something.
I made cookies.
Yes!
I
was it like transfer cookies?
Yeah.
Yes! that was so,
I did send you the snap though.
Yes.
That was me.
Yeah, so good. But when we talk about transfer, everything is related to everything. So when I talk about choir stuff or voice stuff, if that's not your thing, cool. But there are ways that you can apply the things that I will discuss to whatever works for you. But I'm gonna do a little bit to kind of make it more applicable for everyone. So, finding repertoire. Yes, I'm an educator. Everybody in here is not planning to be an educator, and that's okay. But we all have to find repertoire to do. We are performing in some way. And so, let's start off by saying, what have been some of the joys that you have had in performing in ensembles, or solo-wise? What's been so great about it? What things do you like? This is very open-ended, sure.
The reactions people have, I like seeing the variety, because obviously the clapping happens, but I did a recital last semester, and one of my pieces was euphonium and electronics, so it was really groovy, and I got to see people dancing in their seats. But then there's I get to go to the Minnesota Orchestra sometimes, watch them play, and one of the coolest reactions I've ever seen is they're playing Holst Planets, and the entire audience realizes that they've not been breathing the entire movement, and then you hear everybody exhale and cough and stuff.
Yeah.
I just think that's really cool.
Who else? What do you enjoy about performing? There been a piece? Yeah.
The camaraderie within the group.
Okay.
There's always this moment after you've worked on something really, really hard when you finally get it. It's that moment for me.
I like that there's always something new to kind of be discovered. I can even just walk into a voice lesson and think, I feel pretty solid on this piece, I like where I am with it, and then I figure out, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I was doing that here, or when I tried this thing, it sounds way better. It's the unexpected, little improvements that can be made. I like that it's a surprise and a journey.
Great.
I like, especially with ensemble performing, it's this is more musical, but it's when you hit those specific harmonies where you land on a giant cluster chord, at the end of the piece, that moment is just so magical to me.
I don't know, I just have fun. performing because it's fun for me to do. Yeah.
I think people get, I think they are a little weirded out when I say that there was never like a moment that got me into music. I can't say that I had this one teacher that changed my life in the 3rd grade, or that one All-State experience, because I never made it into All-State. It wasn't good enough to get into All-State. And, you know, it's okay. It's totally fine. I get to conduct a few All-States this year, so, you know, give and take, I guess. And, yeah, I tell everybody I came out of the womb singing instead of crying. So I knew that I was supposed to be doing music, even though there were a couple times when I wanted to get out of music because I was very stressed. I was angry at life, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna, I can quit this and like move. At the time I was living in Virginia, I was like, I can just move to Colorado. Well, I say Colorado because, you know, I didn't know how to pronounce it. I was like, I can move to Colorado, nobody's gonna know where I am, and I'll just be like an engineer or something. Like, I'll just like completely switch. But it didn't take long. I mean, it was like 5 minutes, and I was like, no, you need to like just stick with music. Like, there are so many great things about it, and I enjoy the collaborative aspect of it. I like making music with people, including the audience. I mean, I'm a very shy person. People don't believe that, but I'm a very shy person. Like, I'm awkward to have conversations with. I just never know what to say. I'm very awkward. But I like being in front of crowds for whatever reason. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. But a little bit about my background. When I was in undergrad, well, I guess before undergrad, thinking the summer before my senior year, like, all right, time to apply for colleges. All right, where am I going to apply to? So living in Virginia, I was like, James Madison is an option. Good music school. It's like, I've heard a little bit about this University of Miami. Maybe I want to go there. Whoa, that's a really expensive school. Nope, not going there. Virginia Tech. I was like, you know what, maybe I can do like a little music and engineering combination or whatever. Again, it's still in Virginia, so it should be pretty cool. Or maybe I'll go to MIT and do like computer engineering. I had no clue what computer engineering was. I still applied, did the interview. I did not get accepted because I had no business doing that. And the final school that I applied to was Hampton University in Hampton. So I considered it my safe school. I was like, Hampton is very tiny, like 70,000 people. I was like, so any school that's here can't really be all that important, like nobody knows about the school. But even before I decided to apply to Hampton, there was a woman who said, have you, she was like, yeah, you listed Virginia Tech, MIT, Miami, James Madison. She's like, you don't have any HBCUs. And I was like, well, what is an HBCU? She was like, wait, what? You don't know what that is? I was like, no, I don't. An HBCU, for those that don't know, is historically black college or university. I was like, oh, okay. Hampton recruiter came to my high school. He said, these are the scores that you need for the SAT to get a full ride. I did not have that score. But I just got back from my guidance counselor. I got my ACT scored, and I had literally the bottom number to be considered for the scholarship. So I applied. And because I was in town, within a week, I got my acceptance, and literally the next day, I found out I had a full ride. So I was like, all right, I'm going to HBCU. Let's see what this is all about. And I got there, and I was like, okay, this is cool. Now, my high school was very diverse. I mean, when I say very diverse, it was like 40% black, 40% white, and then like 20% Asian. That was very diverse for me. And I get to Hampton, and I'm just like, okay, this is going to be kind of fun. Okay, I think I might like some of this. And I immediately get into choir, and get into more choir, and more choir. And I'm like plenty of the music ed majors here that are in probably too many ensembles that I needed to be in, but I loved every bit of it, and I graduated with honors, so it was okay. But it wasn't until after I left there that I realized that part of the reason I enjoyed the music so much was because of the way that my teacher taught it. And he taught certain types of music. I'm not saying it was the right thing to do or it should have been changed or whatever, but the way he taught certain pieces of music really got me going. And I was just like, oh, I like this. So my sophomore year, the combined choirs performed one of my pieces for like a big, we only have like 6,000 students, so we have like all campus events and that kind of stuff, opening convocations, what we called it, in October. And all the choirs came together and they would sing 2 songs. And I didn't realize that that was actually like kind of nice, like that doesn't happen to most college students. But I remember my freshman year, Royce L. Dillard, my choir director, said that Roland Carter, his teacher, when he was a Hampton when he was a student at Hampton, he had written several pieces, and like one of the ones that we worked on, he wrote during his senior year, and he was like, yeah, I was like, this is good music. I'm gonna have a piece done before I leave. Cool. And my sophomore year, it happened, and then later on, my senior year, and then my senior recital, I like arranged a few things just because why not? Like, come on, you gotta have fun. So I was inspired by stories. But my teacher taught the music of Black composers with a little more enthusiasm than he did the others. And I later learned why, but it was after I left Hampton and left that bubble of almost only people that looked like me that I realized, oh, so this music that I really liked, nobody else knew about it. Oh, okay, because I get to grad school, and I'm talking about all these composers, and they're like, I've never heard of this person. They're like, you've not sung any Bach? I was like, no, I haven't. We didn't do Bach daily readings when I was in school. Chamber singers folks know what I'm talking about. I mean, I knew who Bach was, but I hadn't sung anything by him. I had done like one Beethoven piece, didn't have Messiah every year. But I didn't know many of the composers that my peers in grad school really knew, because we didn't talk about those composers as much as we had spoken about others. So then I graduated from UNC Greensboro for Masters in Conducting, and I was not trying to teach at all. Like I told folks, I don't even want to see the name school anywhere. Like I was gonna take a break for like a year. I was just gonna keep working at Cracker Barrel. Why not? I was making money. Like just keep doing that. That was my goal. My goal was to work for at least another year and not do music because I just needed a break. But somebody was like, hey, I know about this job that's opening up at this university. You should apply for it because of Facebook. Literally because of the post that I had made on Facebook. He was like, I think you might be a good fit for that. I was like, all right, I'll look into it. And it was a great experience for me. But while I was there, I programmed some of the music that I had done when I was in undergrad, and then I get to grad school again, and I'm talking about this music, and folks are just like, okay, this is interesting. And then I started looking at how people programmed music. And I remember having a conversation with a DMA student in voice, and he was like, Marcus, out of all the schooling that I've had, all of my full career, is that I have not sung a single solo piece by a Black composer. I was like, what? How is that possible? And having spoken to other people, it was a conversation that was enlightening because I realized that they were only performing the music that their teachers were assigning, and their teachers were only assigning the music that they had been exposed to, whether it was in recitals, at conferences, or just what they learned in school. And so, I mean, you just keep going back, and it's like, okay, so I'm here at UNL, and I decided to program for chamber singers. It was our third concert because this was in the spring semester. So my goal was to do all living composers under the age of 40. Yeah. So I want you to look at the year, 2019. I'm gonna scroll through this. Y'all have younger eyes than I do, so you can see this from far away. So let's scroll. Look at the composers, look at the years, and after a while, I want you to tell me what you notice, if anything. Everybody good with this page? All right, we're not done. That's the end. Okay, so what did you notice?
They get older and then they get younger.
Oh, I did not realize that. That's super cool. That was not planned. Okay, cool. Oh, that's so weird. Okay. It was not planned like that, no. I don't know why. I think the order for this was really just making sure we didn't have a bunch of slow songs back to back. even though there's a ton of slow stuff in here, but like trying to like go back and forth. But okay, what else do you notice?
It's all before 2000.
All before 2000, great. Okay. What else? Did this stick out to you at all? If we do our math,
57.
thank you. I just knew it. Oh, older than 40. So I'm gonna tell you what happened. I'm in rehearsal, and this was like early in the semester, and I was like, I want y'all to see who all these composers are. So I did a PowerPoint, and I had a picture of Drew Perkins. For those that don't know him, he graduated from here, as you can see, and he was in chamber singers the semester before, so he wrote that piece actually for chamber singers, even though he wasn't in the group. He's like, I'm gonna write a piece for y'all. I was like, oh great, so we did that. It should have said world premiere up here. Forgot to put that up there. And Daniel Elder, and I was like, okay, you got Brian Grossbach, Jake Renestad, Zach Moore, cool. Carlos, I was like, yeah, I gotta have at least one black person up here, okay, cool. My friend Alex, Tom, James Stevens, me, I was like, there were no women. But I had already, I was like, how could you do this? But, well, let's talk. Why was it so easy for me to do that?
I mean, I feel like they dominate the field a lot more than women do, or at least they're more known.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of calling back to a second ago, you programmed kind of what you knew already.
Yeah, there are very few women whose music I had performed for quite some time. And so it was a last minute thing. I was like, I've got to add a woman to the concert because it's just, I was like, how? And I needed something that was going to be an easy teach. And this piece is what Pete calls an add water piece. I mean, it's such an easy piece to learn. Like, you can get it very quickly. So yeah, that was my way of fixing that. But she did not fit that time, and there are many reasons, many reasons for that. I have changed since then, and I make sure that that kind of stuff doesn't happen. So I mean, is this a bad program? No, this is good music. I mean, when was the last time that you heard Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in a concert? Like sounding very choral. It doesn't happen that often. I mean, who doesn't love Jake Renestad's music? I mean, he's a cool guy. So yeah, there's so much great stuff. And Carlos, Simon, Alex, and Vaza, they're both friends of mine, but it was still just like, how could you do that? So, maybe the year after this, I was talking to a graduate of here who had just gotten a job outside of Omaha, and she was like, okay, I've got this concert my colleague wants to do. She's like, he wants to do like spirituals and gospel, but I have no clue where to go to find that. She's like, I don't remember learning anything about how to actually find this music. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So, let's see, I'll close this, and I'm now going to mirror so that I don't have to keep looking back and forth. Build retina, I think that's what it is. So many people are familiar with J.W. Pepper. They dominate so much of what we do. Are they a great resource? Yeah, they've got a lot of stuff. But what's the challenge with coming here? One, if you're looking for solo rep, it's a little more difficult. But they do have it, but it's not as easy to find. Most people go here for ensemble stuff. And what's great about this is that they put together like the editor's choice. This means that several people who represent different companies decide which pieces should go on this master list that they call editor's choice. And it's like, these are great pieces, everybody should do them. Cool. So you can select that. This was the mid-year selection. So this is for folks who haven't planned like their start of the 2023 year music and that kind of stuff. And you scroll through here, contest and festival resources. Set up students for success. Prepare for contest and festival season with our curated collection of repertoire, accessories, articles, and videos. Like, there's some great things up here. Marching band folks in here. All right, any marching band people? Yeah, exactly. So you can shop for a whole show here. You don't even have to like get somebody. If you do church, they've got church music ready for Easter. Like, oh, it's great. And they've been doing this since 1876. So many wonderful things. If you don't know about My Score is where composers get to promote their own music. And I think you go there, oh, this is my friend. I didn't realize she was up here. Oh, that's so cool. If you were in chorale a couple of years of Music of Life, music is in all growing things where you go ahead and underneath. Yeah, that's her. Oh, that's so nice. But anyway, you can put your own music up here, and they help to like get that out because sometimes it's not easy for composers to do that. So they have that. If you're trying to support composers who may not have gotten their music like published by a traditional publisher, but they've got all these other things up here. You can keep going through that, but we have to remember that most publishers, are simply in the business of making money. So they publish music that's gonna sell, for good or for bad. I'm not here to evaluate any of that kind of stuff. It's just important to consider that when you look at the lists. Sometimes, just like one of my friends sent a song yesterday that was very questionable. Don't have time to go into that one, but when I sent it to my friends, they were like, what the is this? Like, really, it was problematic for many reasons, but it's gonna sell. It sounds super cool, but there are some issues with it. Some of that stuff makes it up here. You have to figure out how to evaluate. But when you think back to the program that I didn't have any women at first. Really only had 2 black composers up there. Everybody was white. Still good music. Let's make sure we understand. Everybody knows that I do not hate white people. We all understand that, right? Make sure that's very, very clear. Would not have moved to Nebraska if I did not like white people. I mean, it's like, what, 87% white or something like that? Like, it's just a fact. It's a fact, okay? So yeah, there's nothing wrong. We need to still program music of white folks. Like, it's good. Everybody's writing such great music, but even in the textbooks that we still use, so many of them are still skewed to one area because that's what we know. And because we have been told that this composer is good and somebody tells somebody else, this composer is good, yeah, good, it just keeps getting passed on. And so we all use that as the barometer. If it doesn't get to this level, then it's not good enough and that kind of stuff. But we've been trained that way. But thankfully, there are so many people now who are saying, maybe we need to open up our minds to some other communities. Maybe they are writing music that's just as good. We just haven't been performing it for us to actually know that it's good. So there are several places that you can go. I'm gonna close this one. I'm gonna start with my website. Why not? So if you make your way to MLAG Music, MLAG 4x4 names, there's a research tab, and these are some of the things that I look at. But it's this one down here, this non-idiomatic choral music of black composers. Long story short, this means the music is original, it's not arrangements, and then it's not like also spirituals or gospel or jazz, which are things that have been typically associated with black composers. So it's like the concert music and that kind of stuff. But once you get past some of these fantastic composers, now this is a choral list, yes. And so I've got some pieces, I change this up about every 3 months, and then there's this long list, I think it's like maybe 11 or 1,200, 11 or 1,200 titles up there that you can go through. We don't need to talk about all of that because I know that everybody in here is not choral. Some people are like, well, I want to do some solo stuff. So I put some things up here. We got like some solo vocal anthologies, and we probably have most, if not all of these in our library. Instrumental anthologies. You're like, oh, I need some organ music or some piano music. I keep looking back. I forgot to do this right here. Some more piano stuff, some more organ. But here's the thing that I really want to get to, especially for our instrumentalists. So, you see up here, brass music of black composers, keyboard music, string, woodwind, all of these compiled by Aaron Aaron Horn. Well, you can just go to the UNL library, just type in Aaron Horn. And the second thing, because I checked this right before I came down here, woodwind music of Black composers. And where is it? Down in the music library. Oh my goodness, you don't have to buy it. And it is, it's literally a collection that says this piece is for trumpet by this composer and that kind of stuff. It may even have like grade levels and all that kind of stuff to it. But this man spent a lot of time going through all of that kind of stuff for these 4 different brass, keyboard, string, and woodwind. Thank you, Aaron Horn. But recently I found this guitar music by Black composers. It's just a spreadsheet. And it's got so much great information up here. They got gender, of course their name, the pieces, even approximate durations and links for recordings and all that kind of stuff if it's available. You see solo classical, chamber classical, solo electric guitar, or maybe they're waiting to put some stuff up there. Cool. Chamber, electric, I mean, the stuff is out there. And I get people all the time like, I don't know how to find this kind of stuff. Have you not heard of Google? So, I was thinking, my area is Black composers. Like that's just because I went to an HBCU, I identify as Black. I like that kind of stuff, and I also can't talk about everything, or else I won't get sleep. I already barely get any sleep. I need to get more sleep. And so like this project that just came out, this is, I mean, it's an anthology. This is not the final version. This is the mock-up that they did for me, so it doesn't have like the stuff at the beginning or the end, but this is like a bunch of different pieces. And the goal for this was, because so many of the choral textbooks that we use in graduate programs and so many teachers would have like in their classrooms or in their offices and that kind of stuff, most of it doesn't include much of any. So it's like, all right, we're gonna go through not just current stuff, not just living composers, who are great, we love living composers, we love them, but there are some dead folks who never got their play. So last school year, Regina Celli, chamber singers did that one to celebrate Lusitano's the possible 500th anniversary of his birth. We had the George Walker Festival to celebrate the first Black composer with the Pulitzer Prize in music and that kind of stuff. But we've got so many composers in here, back all the way to Lusitano from his collection that was published in 1555 to that We Are the Music Makers that the choirs did. That was the most recent piece that's in here. So 1555 to 2021. You got representation from so much in here. Hopefully people will be able to say, this is the type of music that was written in the classical period. This is the type of music that was written at the end of the Renaissance and that kind of stuff. And a lot of contemporary, because that's just when we have a lot of our stuff done. So, you've got collections. I mean, I talk about choral music. I talk about vocal music. But I was like, I don't know where to find any music by Asian composers. So what did I do? Classical music. See, there you go, right there. See, I literally just Googled it. Now, I mean, I would need to like go through to see if anybody had done like any databases and that kind of stuff. Oh, here's violin music by Asian composers. It is there. Yeah, it might be. Oh, great, it's in English. Okay, perfect. That works for us. And so, I mean, they've got so much stuff up here. But I mean, one of the links that I found, we don't need that guitar one anymore, 6 essential Asian American and Pacific Islander composers you should know. And I like this kind of stuff, especially YouTube, because then you can go like down the rabbit hole to find so many other interesting things. Maybe AAPI identifying composers, may not be, might just be something interesting. What else did I do? I was like, okay, got Asia, okay, we know enough about Europe, got the US covered like in here and that kind of stuff. I was like, let me go to Spotify and search Brazilian composers. Brazilian Classical Composers 101. And look at all of these pieces that you've got. So, I mean, like folks have just done some amazing work for us, and you can just like check these kinds of things out. But some of you are not going to be the educators in the room. You're like, I probably won't be able to like teach some Villalobos right away. But you'll probably do a lesson on some composers, the same way that we talk about organ music in like middle school. None of them are playing organ. But in the same way that you can play Bach's Prelude and Fugue in D minor, you can play something that's as equally, if not maybe even more exciting by, we'll say, Florence Price. I'm gonna play a piece by Florence Price for you. Sonata. There we go. I'm gonna play my friend. Let's see. Let me find my friend. Oh yeah, this is.
The thing that's different about a Virgo vacation home, you always have the whole place to
All
yourself.
right. Here we go. Alright, this is good stuff. That's a pretty exciting piece of music, and while there might be some students who might not be as interested, it's all about how you introduce the music to them, and helping them become critical listeners. Hey, we like the part where I just stopped, came from the beginning, so you're pointing those kinds of things. Oh my gosh, I hear it again! Yay! So yeah, they're like really happy, and that kind of stuff. But this wonderful website, the Institute for Composer Diversity, how many of you heard of this? Oh, just a few. Cool. So, the Institute for Composer Diversity is a fantastic resource. It existed at first only for instrumental music, but after a little push from a few folks, they've expanded it, and as you see, they've got, First, it was just a list of the composers, which is this one right here, the Composer Diversity Database. But then they're like, okay, well, some of us are like conductors or voice teachers and that kind of stuff. And we want to be able to just search that. But let's show you some of the stuff that they have. So they've won a few things, awards and grants and that kind of stuff. And it says right here, our Composer Diversity Database is a resource for the musical community through which composers from underrepresented groups can be discovered. So you're actually able to search and they give you some tips so that this doesn't end up being just like a check the box kind of thing. Oh, I forgot my woman, like I did. But hopefully it's a starting point where you get to just fix some other things and just expand your mind. And they've got plenty of resources to make it happen. But what is it? You can look for, and they've got different criteria. So you've got the basic, it says living, deceased, public domain, gender identity or sexual romantic orientation, demographic, genre, like all of this stuff that you can search for. So let's say we want a living man, LGBTQIA2S+, black, chorus. Oh, it does. Oh, maybe they don't have me as gay up there. Maybe that's what happened. I told them that they could. Okay, let me go back. Okay, living man. Let's just do that. Or did they take me off? They shouldn't have. Oh, that would be really bad, wouldn't it? Oh no, there we go. Okay, so they don't have me as gay. That's what it is. Okay, it's totally fine. So yeah, me and Garrett Fox. We are the two black male composers in Nebraska. Now, there are more. There are obviously more here, I would assume, but maybe not many. But you can do it just that way. Because I mean, there's sometimes where you, like, for something like honor choirs, honor bands, and that kind of stuff, if you go out of the state, you may want to do something by someone from that area, and you can search that way. But somebody give, oh crap, let's get rid of all of these. All right, Dylan, what should we search for now?
Let's go.
Okay, let's start up here. We're gonna do living or deceased.
Let's do dead dude or dead
Okay.
person.
Dead.
Let's do woman.
Okay.
All right. Let's do some East Asian.
Okay.
And then let's do choir. And then let's probably California.
Oh, California. Let's see what we got. Oh. Okay. We're close. So let's see. Maybe let's not do California. Let's just see anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, still none. Wow. Okay. That's weird. Okay. Oh, dang! I went the wrong way. Go. Oh, no, I'm breaking it. Oh, crap. Okay. Okay, let's go to the choral database now. Let's see. Yes, there we go. So now this is specifically for choir stuff. Okay, Lauren. Or Dylan, you want another try?
Let's do living this
Okay.
time. And then let's see if that works.
Okay, so still a woman.
Yeah.
We said E station. Maybe let's try
Let's do
all.
both, yeah,
Let's do quite a few Asian. Yeah. Okay, we got chorus. Want to still try California?
We'll see what happens there.
Ah!
Okay.
Okay, we got quite a few here. And so, what can we do? Let's see. Anahita Abasi. View details, woman. This is all the stuff that she's written for. Cool. So even though we looked up just chorus, it's like, oh crap, maybe she's got some stuff that has for choir and the orchestra. That kind of stuff. And then, you'd be able to go to their website. Okay. Really super cool. Okay. Now, we can also go up to our art song database. Sarah. Okay. What would you like to look for? I've never looked at this, so I have no clue what's gonna happen.
Let's do, do you start at the top with maximum duration, or?
We don't have to put it, so anything that you leave blank, it's just not going to limit
Okay,
at
yeah.
all, so yeah.
What are the options for musical era? Let's do 19th century.
Okay. Do we need to be public domain? Nah, we'll see. Okay. Do we need difficulty?
Let's do intermediate.
Okay.
And what languages do we have? Let's do Polish.
Okay. Do we need to search type of composer?
I mean, if it was, what did I say? I said 19th century, they're probably dead.
If they're not, they have won an award.
Let's see if there's a woman.
Okay. Oh, search again. Okay, let's go back. So we don't have woman. Let's see. Maybe we can do. Let's try these three and see what happens. Nope. 19th century is a little tough.
I'm also Polish. I say
Oh, and you did Poland.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, why was black and they wrote Poland? That would be. It's possible. Let's try English.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Oh, still nothing. Okay, let's see. What do we? Oh, we have we choose intermediate. Let's just leave them all open. Let's see what happens. Oh, okay. So this gives us specific pieces that were written during the 19th century. So let's see, composer page. Oh, and it had score. How you can, and this is for high chordal occasion. See, that even has information about it. Cool. This must be the score right here. Let's see what we have. All right, there we go. So sometimes it'll take a little work. On the first page, they have this report from orchestras, and I think they they might do it every year, but they go through, they look at all of this stuff. And so it says that they focused on works by women composers and composers of color, as well as living composers, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And here are a few of the changes, because when they first looked at it in 2015, it was a certain way. And thankfully, things have gotten better. Program works by women composers and composers of color increased overall from 4.5 to 22.5. That's a big jump. Living composers with orchestras, that's a huge area of tension because, folks are just sticking with the same Brahms symphonies and Beethoven and that kind of stuff. Again, the music is not bad, but it's what they know. But one of the things to remember also is that, for some of these orchestras, they don't have large budgets. So they need to go with the public domain music, and most of that public domain music is not by East Asian composers who know Polish. Probably not, like, even for orchestra, and that kind of stuff. So I mean, there are some things there's nuance when considering all this kind of stuff. But I mean, you can go through all of this and see, you know, where things have changed and things have gotten better, decreased, and all that kind of stuff. I don't need to go through all of that. I'm gonna close this. Oh, they got a Wikipedia page for Amelia Lehman. Never heard of her. Oh, published under AL, and you know, the women did that quite a bit. So, if you Institute for Composer Diversity, the website is just composerdiversity.com. You're able to use that for quite a few things. Another thing is the African Diaspora Music Project. It's just another one, but it's limited to composers of African descent. And so you see here, you've got vocal. It's probably trying to. Oh, it's getting there. Yeah. And so here we go. William Grant Still, Hard Trials. A lot of music up here. Henry Thacker Burley has, I mean, like 100 art songs or whatever, and I'm starting hearing a few more folks around here doing some Heritage Burley, which is maybe there. Are you doing? Yeah.
Oh my god. Passional.
Love it. Oh, I've heard that one. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's just like amazing stuff in here. It's out there. It's out there. Now, I do represent, I mean, for some of you, I'm like directly your teacher. For others, I just represent the teachers that you have. And we're working, we're trying to get better, and that kind of stuff. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with you saying, hey, I've noticed this, and you know, it might be nice if we were able to experience some of these other things. Like having the conversation. Sometimes it's, all right, we'll make that change and we'll do things differently now. Other times it's, I've got to figure out how to make it work, because I mean, most teachers have a philosophy on why they teach. And it's not to say that I'm never going to do anything that's not by a dead white man. That's not, nobody's philosophy is that around here. I know nobody's is. But it's not easy to make the changes as quickly as we may want. And sometimes it's about just sowing seeds. So that when other people say something or they hear about something from someplace, it's like, oh, I do remember that. Okay, yeah, I'm starting to implement things, you know, incrementally and that kind of stuff. It will just take some time. It will just take some time. So yeah. So these are a few places that you can go. I mean, again, Google is great. I mean, blogs work. I mean, I found composers from people's blogs. Instagram, another great way to find some different music and that kind of stuff. And I'll write stuff down. I've got a list. Every time I go to a conference or a concert or I just get a different piece of music, I'm like, oh, this might work in some way. I write it down. It's literally how I program chorale. Like the past few semesters, I've had so much music backed up that I want to do, and it gets to represent so many different people. So I mean, for me, I do try to get, especially now, get a little more intentional with representation and that kind of stuff. And oh, that was the other thing. Okay, so I don't need to have this up anymore. So let's talk about that really quickly. The last thing that we'll do. People mention. Mention representation all the time. We hear it quite a bit. I've seen, was it 2 years ago? I think 2 years ago, some of y'all got together and was like, this is all the type of music that we've been seeing. We want it to be this way. I love that. It made me so happy. It made me so happy to see that, you know, students wanted to experience a little bit more. Why? This is an actual question. Yeah.
Kind of get programmed a lot of the same stuff over and over again. We don't like ask for other things typically. Like, I mean, at least like in my studio, Bo is actually very excited whenever someone is like, I want to play this, because he sees that as like taking your education into your own hands, and they're like taking stock in your own education, and he prefers that over him giving you something to work on. but, a lot of times, like, and especially because a lot of, like I took tuba euphonium pedagogy last spring, and all of the, like, classic repertoire that we have and that we looked at is by, like, dead white guys, or recently dead white guys,
Yeah.
because euphonium hasn't had a database for more than 50 years.
Yeah.
But, like, a lot of the stuff that we know of really, really well is by dead white guys, and yay, Google exists, so we can learn about not dead white guys, but I also don't know that it's everybody's first thought at this point in time yet.
Cool. Who else? Okay.
I think because of how our generation is expanding our knowledge with diverse thoughts, I just feel like as a generation, we musicians are just ready to learn more about different people's backgrounds and perspectives.
Gotcha.
And so like, we learn the basics from white composers, and then we expand our knowledge to new things, because it's not that we're bored, it's that we genuinely want to learn more and experience what other people may have experienced. We'll never get to know unless we try.
I guess like the main reason I think at least why people are trying to get more representation and like diversified music is just because like old white men is not representative of the community around us.
Okay.
Like not all of us in the music world are just like white males. Like we have people who are women or non-binary or black or Asian, you know, and it's more inclusive to think about things that make up the pie instead of just putting the pie as like one full slice of old white men.
Can I ask, oh, Sarah, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that, in, like, as I'm taking like beginning music ed classes, like theory and like kind of the intro course we took last semester, we look at how music has been inclusive over time and how the definition of inclusivity has changed, but like how, but participation is so important. Like how that sometimes meant there were musicians and then people were dancing, or there were musicians and people would start to sing along, or there was a concert and people would have to go, like, because like the concert was always for someone. So I think that participation as a concept has just continued to evolve, and we've started to really latch onto this idea of we don't want this divided anymore. I don't want to have to pick and choose what I get to participate in. I want to learn about all of it, and I think that's really cool.
Can I kind of put some people on the spot real quick? Okay. Well, I'll share first, and I'll say that I mean, like I said, I've had blunders, I've made mistakes. I read the course evaluations. I know people don't care about some of this stuff, and it's okay. I take it and I learn, and sometimes I'm able to make some changes. Other times it's just people being upset, and you just kind of move past it. But yes, I mean, we talk about this kind of stuff all the time, but then we have some people who feel on the opposite side. Not saying that anybody needs to share that right now, but I'm curious. Hopefully this is a safe and open and great space for us all. I'm curious, white guys in the room, how does this kind of stuff make you feel? Has there ever been a time where you were just like, this doesn't feel so good? I'll start off with myself, not a white guy. Sorry, let me think. That was a terrible segue. But I remember, so I got a friend group. All of us are conductors, but there are a few composers in the group as well. We got a group text, and it's been for like almost 3 years now? Oh my God, we're coming up with 3 years as a group text. And I remember one of the women in the group talking about the challenges that she had being a woman composer. And I remember thinking, nah, that's not real. It can't be. I'm like, I have had so much, success. I mean, it's not really, but I was just like, compared to what she was talking about, I was just like, no, none of that stuff actually happens. Like, I know there's gotta be something else. And then, I don't remember when, it was definitely while I was here, something happened, and I was like, oh my goodness. I'm doing to a woman what some people of color have said that white people have done to them. Like, this experience could not have happened because I didn't experience it. And I was just like, oh. I felt really bad about that, and that kind of stuff. And yeah, so, anybody, yeah.
I've really enjoyed broadening my experiences, and we live in an information era, and it's like there's no reason to not indulge in all of the things that we can do. You know, I love like Mexican and Japanese food, and if I'm not gonna partake in all of the culture, like I'm just kind of like reaping the rewards of the conquerors that have come before me. Like, history is written by the people that won, and that goes for the entire culture.
Yeah. Love it.
I would add that besides just ingraining yourself in different cultures, as a white dude, you do tend to make mistakes, and you tend to, because of your upbringing, assume a lot of things that are just the reality. And I've had the privilege of having people in my life that have been like, okay, buddy, let's think about that. Like, why did you think that was an okay thing to say? And there's a specific person in the room. Hi. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is just like trying to think critically about a lot of things that you do and practices that you have adopted, and trying to think, am I doing this, or do I believe this thing because it is what I have been conditioned to think? Does this actively benefit me? What kind of things could be happening that I haven't even considered? And the thing is, a lot of things do happen that I still don't consider, and I hear somebody and go, that's a thing that you experience? And it's awful, but that's the reality of it, unfortunately.
I mean, I remember, when some of these conversations were happening, it was, this is an attack on white people or on white men and that kind of stuff. And I totally understand how when people have a goal of making things more equitable for everyone, yeah, stuff gets taken away, and it's like, oh, because I'm just like, yeah, I'm like, I might miss out on this commission, or I might miss out on this whatever opportunity because they want someone who's non-binary or a woman and that kind of stuff. And it's just like, but I'm good too. Why can't I have that opportunity? But just like being like, okay, learning to celebrate with everyone, which is not easy these days because we're like told, whether verbally or non-verbally, like it's all about me and that kind of stuff. But learning how to celebrate other people, it's fun. When you finally get to that place where you can like really celebrate everyone, it's just a great thing. So as you keep going in your musical careers and that kind of stuff, keep challenging folks, challenging yourselves. Figure out what is something different that I can do. How can I change the world? And the world doesn't have to be the 8 billion people that we have. It could be just, the 7 people that are around me. That's my world and that kind of stuff. What are the things that I can do, that I can say? Who's the person that I can be that is going to help all of these folks? So, yeah. Oh, I guess I should open it up for questions if y'all have any. Yeah.
Would you talk on, you mentioned earlier, like problematic music, like coming from a very narrow field of mind? I don't have a concept of what.
Oh yes, so the particular piece I was talking about was a mashup of a spiritual and Dies Irae. It was a spiritual Did My Lord Deliver Daniel and Dies Irae. Now musically they sound great, but there's a lot of energy to it. But some people were just like, it felt like a gimmick. Like, I'm going to use, because spirituals are popular, I'm going to use that, I'm just going to add this thing. The two have, yes, everything is related to everything. So, they're both music. All right, there we go. But outside of that, except for the fact that they both start with the letter D, there was really nothing else that, like, why put those two together? Now, I could ask the composer just to find out why they did that, but part of me wants to just email the person who who's in charge of selecting that music, and I told one of my friends to tell me not to do it, and he was like, email. Send the email. I decided I'm going to. I don't know if I want to cause any trouble just yet with a major publisher, but I mean, I've done it before, so why not? Why not keep going? But we will all, at some point, we will program something that's problematic. So many of the things that we look at now, things in the past. I Love Lucy is my favorite TV show of all time. It is amazing. Are there some problems with that show? Absolutely. They wouldn't let Lucy and Ricky sleep in the same bed because they were not the same. Like they literally, if you had not paid attention, every season they are in separate beds. There was only ever one black person on the show, and he was a porter. He had just a couple lines in there. My grandfather, my paternal grandfather, traced our Native American heritage, and so like he would go to the powwows, and he was making jewelry, all that kind of stuff. But when I go back and look at that show, and they have Native American stuff, and it's the very just like all that. There's a lot. There's some things I'm just like, okay, I'm skipping past that. It's about learning. Sometimes you do have to play stuff in context, I think. And it's not to say that you're celebrating what they did, but there are going to be things in 2023 that in 25 years, the things that we are doing now that we think are so great or just okay, they're going to be problematic. It's going to happen. It's just like when you look at your pictures from like middle school. You're like, I just knew that outfit was great. Yeah, I've got several pictures like that. You don't want to see my high school photos. I have a few friends who share that as often as they can, and I just have to own up to it because, yeah, it was a time when you just wore, like, can you imagine me wearing, like, large t-shirts? Like, size large. Very wide pants. And I had a little Nokia phone on a clip right here with the shirt over so that you could see, and I'm leaning up on a tree. That was mine. Yeah, my partner likes to share that with everybody. He actually zoomed in to the phone to make sure they were rude, very rude, very rude. But anyway, so there are things that we're doing now that are going to be problematic later, and we just have to just recognize that that's the case. Are you going to be able to notice that when you're doing something that's problematic? No. But if somebody brings it up to you, you own it, figure out how you can learn from it, and just say, all right, I'm going to be better. But also understand that there's always going to be something that's going to make people upset. And sometimes you just have to just stick to your guns with some stuff. Some stuff. As long as you're trying to include everybody, I think it's okay. So yeah, any other questions? Yeah.
How do you go about the topic of, so let's just say if your colleagues around your school district or something are programming music that is problematic, how do you go about that as from just the education standpoint?
It's tough because you have to, you're trying to figure out how to have the best situation for yourself, but also making sure that people don't do things that are problematic, and you want to have a good working relationship with people. And it can be a challenge when you challenge people, because sometimes it feels like an attack on their identity. There's really no easy way to go about it. The way I was raised is that when there is conflict, the first thing you do is go to that person. If it cannot be resolved, you bring in somebody else who's on the same level to see if it can get resolved that way. If it doesn't get resolved that way, then you go a step up, and then just keep going a step up until it just either gets resolved or can't get resolved. Whenever someone is doing something that is wrong, the first thing you do is affirm them in some way. If you immediately attack them, they're going to be defensive. That's just life. They're going to be defensive, and anything that you say is they're going to shoot it down, no matter what. So figure out how to address the situation, I would say in love, so that it's, hey, you probably didn't realize this, but this piece sounds good. I understand and give reasons why So like, they can understand that you are seeing it on the same level as they do, but then say, hey, but also. So I mean, I reached out to a high school teacher in town. I went to a concert, and I was like, oh, that is there might be some people who hear that piece, and they might think that you're making fun of Black people. Because of the way this music is. You may not know that the way this music sounds, it comes from a time when it comes from minstrelsy, when people were making fun of. Now this piece was not intended to make fun of, but it sounds that way. And while nobody in the room may not feel that way, I was like, when I heard it, I was just like, ooh, I don't think you're a bad person. I just want to share with you that there might be some people who might be offended by this. And that's usually how I go by it. I mean, unless I'm like actually personally offended, then I'll just tell them. But if it's not me, I try to figure out a way to educate them so that it's not just an attack. So love, education, I think those are the two big things that can probably help. And also, every battle is not worth fighting. Because sometimes if you try to fight every battle, then that's where your brain is all the time, and then you can't focus on the other things you actually have to get done, that kind of stuff. So, we gotta take care of ourselves too. Yeah. Nobody else? All right, well, I mean, the last time I did one of these, I had said that I wasn't, I think at the end I was like, hey, I wasn't a brother, but thank y'all for letting me do this, and that's not the case anymore. So, yes, and I see that I have a box of stuff. So,
Yeah.
yay, I'm officially a member now, so yay, thanks brothers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
all right.
Round of applause for Dr. Garrett, everybody. Like I said, go to Jackson for your artifact. Jackson, you probably want to go out, so that would not be great. Yeah, come up to me if you're interested in rushing. In no particular order. Thank you for coming, guys. Feel free to grab Pepsi or whatever on the way out.